Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. I want to take just a moment here to give you a perspective of where you are. I'd like to tie it in to something that is happening to some in the group. I want to make a clearer picture for you of the profundity of where you sit. Dear ones, in the last 22 years, something incredible has happened in science. Science is now shown and proved, even with the measurements of satellite data, that consciousness on this planet changes physical things. Consciousness changes physical things. And that opens the door for things that have been so esoteric in the past to suddenly become believable. And one of them is this. We started telling you many years ago about something that is esoteric to the planet, not physical, called the Crystalline Grid. Let me tell you about it yet again. It is an esoteric grid that remembers human consciousness and emotion. It's placed here for you, so that the places that things happen will have meaning, and that when there are times where you can actually place a consciousness on this grid, that's coming, that you can enhance places just by consciousness. However, that's not what I'm going to talk about. This esoteric grid is something that has been eye-rolling to so many who have said, well, yes, that's just another one of those Kryon things. We'll believe it when we see it. Well, dear ones, it has been seen so many times. It has been felt so many times. Let me take you yet again to something I mentioned before. When you stand in the middle of a battlefield, an ancient one or a current one, those who are sensitive feel something. And you have to ask yourself, even the scientist, how? How does a battle, perhaps hundreds of years ago or even 25 years ago, influence consciousness that you would feel something? Or you might go to a dark place suddenly, or you might even cry. There is no explanation except the one I just gave you. The crystalline grid of remembrance has placed those things in the dirt, literally, so that you feel something. Let's talk about that. So many here in this group come from pristine lands. Not all of you, but many, most. Any North American here, any Australian here is on pristine land. And when I say pristine land, when you compare it to this land or the Mediterranean land or Europe, you are on pristine land. Think of the battles and the history and the ancients and all the things that have happened here and in Europe compared to where you are. And why I say that is because some will come and say, well, I'm not really a sensitive person. Really? Well, maybe you've just never stepped on anything that would trigger your sensitivity like this. Maybe you've lived in your land and realized, well, there's been some battles there, but nothing like this. Not layers and layers and layers. What happens when a human dies? I won't really say inappropriate death, but it is. All death is appropriate and timed, and we have said this before, there's no chance, and yet inappropriate death is what a mother will say when her son dies at 25 or 18. And that death, dear ones, in a battlefield, triggers a chain of sorrow that can go around this planet when the mothers know and the relatives know. And then their friends know, and then they project it, and it goes on, and there's sorrow after sorrow. That's one death. Think of the consciousness that is disturbed by the one death. Now amplify it to 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000. What if I told you that the land here, the Gulf of Aqaba, has seen such things? Think of where you are. Have you even looked at a map? Have you seen the surrounding countries, how close they are together? Have you seen the pristineness of this place? What about the strategic implications of this Gulf and the one next to it? 4 major countries are here. Just right here. That's not including then the ones next to them on the other side of the Mediterranean. Do you realize how important this place is? And what might have happened here will start your history, dear ones. The name, Gulf of Aqaba, that's very recent. It's had 3 other names. Depending upon the civilizations, and I don't mean the ones you don't know, I mean yours. The cultures that have fought in this area over this land. The ancients did. The currents did. Do you know what happened here that was of tremendous significance in World War I? Do you know the death that happened here? Do you know the suffering of the mothers because of it that happened here? Can you imagine what this land may carry? This is where the 6-Day War was, dear ones. I don't know what that means to you, but it means a lot to some here. That's what happened here. Just to the south, there was a major thrust, 6-Day War. Today, you look at countries at peace with each other, some with paper to show it, some with not. But it wasn't that way a little while ago. So suddenly you come from your pristine land and you drive here and you come to a resort, which sure looks good, doesn't it? And layers and layers and layers and layers underneath your feet reflect so much sorrow, so many battles, and you feel it. You may not think you're a sensitive person, but you are. Old souls react to these kinds of things. Now, what I want to tell you as I end this channel, I want everyone to hear. Anyone who listens to this, the 4th channel in Egypt. There's the question, well, what do you do, Kryon, about such a thing? You're going to walk into places that are going to make you feel bad. What, do you just not go there? Here is what you're missing. That the consciousness of an old soul, a light person, a person who knows who they are and is at peace with the Creator, that kind of a person may not realize you've got tools. And those tools, after the shift of 2012, I'm going to call tools of significant light. Tools of significant light. Where you walk, you start to change the feelings of the crystalline grid. There'll come a day when you can change the grid itself. But right now, if you want to erase all of this for you, I want you to think for a moment what you could do. The first is want to know where you are. Every place on this planet you walk, tourist, take a look at a map and then look at the history. And if you're feeling any of these things because of the layers of sorrow and battle that have happened in the past, here is what I'm going to ask you to do and say. Dear Spirit, thank you that I am light and that I am here in 2019 with peace around me. Thank you, Spirit, that there is hope for the planet and I am it. Thank you, Spirit, that wherever I walk, the sorrow will recede from me, so that if enough of us walk here someday, never these things will be felt again. That you're healing the land with the thinking that you have of being one with the creative source. God inside is real. That's who created you. That is where your seed of soul came from, dear ones. And it didn't go away when you were born. This is where you actually manifest the light. This is what you do. This is why you're here. Do you think it's an accident you came to this Gulf? You're going to go from this place in the morning. Time isn't important. Because you've been here, you can send this long distance. Did you know that? It's only long distance to you because it's linear. You can send it long distance to anywhere on the planet instantly. The healing light of your tool, old soul. Significant light, significant tools. So if you start to feel insensitivity, these things at all, I want you to take a deep breath and smile. Raise your hand.